Woman inherits dad's old barn, finds gift from Mafia, turns pale when she sees what's inside. Within the walls of the ancient, dusty barn, Gemma found herself with a nagging irritation at her lack of attention in comparison to her siblings. A intuition, though, gave her a nod, indicating that there could be more to this than meets the eye. After seeing a hurriedly scrawled message on the back of an old picture, her curiosity drove her to investigate more. Despite her complete faith in her father and her conviction that he would never deliberately mislead her, Gemma couldn't get rid of her suspicions about the message and felt compelled to find out what it may reveal. There is doubt regarding the veracity of the lines because they were written by a guy who was close to passing away. She wondered whether these were just the musings of a disturbed mind, someone on the verge of something. But the question remained, may something in his comments have a shred of truth? After searching the barn for an hour, Gemma had found nothing unusual. She was so close to giving up that she had even gone up the unstable ladder into the old loft and discovered it was empty of any signs. Still, it gave her another perspective. To ensure you don't miss any new articles, press the notification bell, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. Growing up, Gemma Miller counted herself lucky and treasured the affection in her family, realizing that not everyone had similar warmth. Together with her two brothers, she was raised in an unusual environment. Peter Miller, her grandpa, devoted his life to the everyday maintenance of his property. Gemma did concede, though, that her father's devotion was not at all like his father's, suggesting that changes were unavoidably in store for the farm's future. When Gemma was younger, she used to look forward to her monthly trips to her grandparents' farm, where she enjoyed caressing the horses and enjoying the wide open spaces. However, she continued to be unaware of the mysteries that the location she cherished kept. She would always carry the memories of the farm with her, giving it a particular place in her heart. But with all the love and nostalgia, one rule never wavered: Peter's insistence on its observance. On the farm, Gemma and her brothers could wander anywhere they pleased, but the barn was off limits. Adam, Gemma's father, received a call one tragic day that brought them racing to the hospital. Her grandfather lay there, weak in a hospital bed, time passing by. Even though Gemma got the opportunity to say goodbye to her grandfather, the loss remained and had a long-lasting effect. Adam deviated far from his father's course, in contrast to Peter. Adam was not at all attracted to farm life, even though they were quite close. When Gemma found out, he moved to the city to live with his mother, which is how he became a city lad. Adam had never shown any interest in working on farms. But following their private conversation, he started going to the property alone. Gemma couldn't help but wonder what had drawn him to the property so suddenly. Gemma's interest in childhood vanished as she embraced adulthood's activities. With time, life's distractions caused her recollections of her father's excursions to the barn as a youngster to gradually fade. As an adult forging her own route, she periodically paid her father a visit once a month to see how he was doing. Oblivious to the possibility of a second catastrophe approaching soon, she continued to live her own life. Gemma noticed a shift in her father's attitude. He contacted her one day and asked to be transported immediately to the hospital. Without saying a word, Gemma knew the truth as he came out. She had seen this sight before, so it was not unfamiliar. He continued to get worse throughout the course of the ensuing weeks. He was informed one day that he would need to remain in the hospital for some time. That was clear to Gemma. Knowing it was their last farewell, she and her brothers gathered around his bed and started to cry. Gemma was left stunned. It was an experience she will never forget. Her father, though, had something he wanted to tell her. This was a scenario Gemma recognized all too well, and she prepared herself for what was ahead. She stayed at her father's bedside for many days and nights, clutching his hand. It was the same thing every day. Gemma's father was glad to see her as soon as he got up from his slumber, but there was a certain expression in his eyes that she had never seen before. He continued to speak after that. "BB barn," he stumbled to say. Gemma could not figure everything out, but she could see that her father was having difficulty communicating with her and that it was a burden on him. Then something he said chilled her to the bone. Her father tightly held her arm and gazed at her, tears shining in his tear-streaked eyes. His statement, "I've been keeping a huge secret from you and your siblings," caused her stomach to drop. She was terribly affected to realize that she was seeing his last day. She would have begged him for answers if only she had known what was next. Over the years, Gemma's mother had become skilled at hiding the mystery under the farmhouse. Her spouse made the decision to live as if it never happened, and she realized she had to follow suit. She had assumed that one day her husband would tell Gemma the truth, leaving her to wonder how their daughter would respond. Gemma had no idea that her family was anything but the typical image they presented. She had always thought of them as an ordinary, hardworking clan, as they wanted other people to think of them. Even hours later, Gemma was still wondering about what her father had said before she knew it. She thought about it and was now completely worn out. She kissed her father on the cheek. It was time to head back home, and all she could hope was that he would still be here the next day. She was staring at her father's calm face when she noticed something close by. On his bedside table, there was a pen and a letter. She wanted to reach out and read it, but she forced herself not to. She could feel her father preparing to say goodbye to their family. In the late hours of the night, Gemma left the hospital. The drive home seemed to go on forever, with every mile seeming to take an age. As she slipped into bed, her mind kept racing with ideas. All through the night, her father and the long-kept secret he had kept from her pervaded her nightmares. After several months, the inheritance distribution was finalized and an unexpected distribution was made. Gemma unexpectedly inherited the farm, but her brothers acquired the inheritance. Was it an action connected to her most treasured memory? She felt cruelly treated since, even with its sentimental value, the farm was not worth as much as the estate. The picture evoked feelings of recognition. It showed the farm, a scene that is well known. It dawned on her then that this was the same photo her grandfather had given her father on his deathbed. Confused, she flipped it over and hurriedly wrote a mysterious note on the back. "The barn is your inheritance. Remember to visit on your birthday." Did her father think that this was really what she deserved? She compared her fortune to what her brothers had gotten, and a deep dissatisfaction set in. What use was a rundown farm to her? It was several weeks before Gemma did something with the clue in the picture and the land left to her. The way her brothers behaved didn't help matters either. They made fun of her for inheriting the ancient property in a backwards gesture that brought back memories of childhood. Gemma was fed up and decided to go check out the property and see what was in store. Maybe there was hope after all. The farm may become her personal retreat in the country, a respite away from the busy city life. She thought about it more and more, and the idea of having her own farm got more and more intriguing. She packed a suitcase for the lengthy journey to the farm, where she would spend the night at a local motel. She was filled with excitement thinking about what may be at the property. Even still, the mysterious hint on the picture continued to cross her mind. Gemma was now inside the ancient, dusty barn. Though she was still miffed about what she had received in comparison to her siblings, she suspected there was more going on than what first appeared. She had to at least glance at the hurriedly written remark that had been scribbled on the back of an old photo. Gemma had her reservations about the message, but she trusted her father and believed he would never purposefully lead her wrong. These were the last words of a guy who would die in a matter of weeks. Were his writings the works of a lunatic, or did they contain any truth? Decades have passed since the ancient barn was last utilized. Everything was neglected and in disrepair. Given that his boys received so much more, why would he want his daughter to inherit this? She navigated past the old, decaying hay bales using the flashlight on her phone. She spotted something she would never have seen on the ground, now that she was perched above everything else and had a bird's eye perspective. There was something hidden between the wall and the stacks of hay. After much effort, Gemma was able to move one of the bales of hay to the side and see what was below. It was a cellar door, she supposed, leading somewhere down below. She swallowed and tugged at the ancient doors, startled that they were still unlocked. Now she could see stairs going down into the ground. Its obscurity would engulf her. Gemma bravely made her way down the ancient steps. Gemma was astounded by what she was seeing. Inside the area was a tiny vault. What did he have hidden inside? "Remember that June 4th, 1990, is your birthday," she said to herself. She turned the dial with her hand on it. Once 4,690 was entered, it clicked and opened. When Gemma realized what was within the little vault's shelves, her jaw dropped wide. That was what Adam had received from Peter, and now it was what he was giving to his daughter. Thick silver bars were arranged on the racks. It had to have weighed at least 30 pounds. Gemma was aware that her life would never be the same. The silver bars served as a connection to her family's history in addition to being a financial bonanza. Gemma thought back to the tales her grandpa had told about the difficulties he had encountered in starting the farm from the ground up. She was now in possession of a material remnant of that heritage. She now wondered if and how she would tell her brothers the truth. Gemma was left feeling conflicted by the revelation. She felt overwhelmed with responsibilities for managing her sudden wealth. How would she respond to this? Gemma made the decision to learn more about her father's secrets. With great care, she went through the vault's contents and discovered old letters, records, and a notebook detailing her father's visits to the property. He appeared to be attempting to shield her from the responsibility until the appropriate moment. After the truth was revealed, Gemma accepted the transformation her father had planned. She used the silver to finance renovations to the property, determined to respect her family's tradition and bring it back to its former splendor. As the renovations went on, Gemma turned the once drab barn into a colorful area. Inspired by the tale of a lady who transformed an unexpected inheritance into a profitable business, the community came together to support her. Once irritated and perplexed by her father's choice, Gemma Miller went on to lead a prosperous farm, demonstrating that often the most important riches are those that are lying under the surface and just waiting to be found. Disclaimer, written by a passionate author. This tale is meant to excite and amuse you while reflecting actual events to spark your imagination and arouse strong feelings. All characters, locations, and events are the creation of the author. All pictures and videos are purely illustrative.